Hi, I'm Scott Lang. Today's February 7th, 2018. I want to talk about Robert Mueller and the Mueller investigation. Last May 17th, 2017, Robert Mueller was appointed as special counsel to investigate whether or not the Russians had interfered with our election process in 2016 and whether or not there had been collusion between the Trump campaign, or quite frankly anyone else, and the Russians regarding the 2016 election. Now, he's been working on this now for approximately 10 months, and I constantly hear President Trump or his supporters say things like, well, it's gone on long enough. It hasn't gone on long enough. In fact, it's just really moving into high gear. If there's nothing that went on, then no one should think twice about the investigation. If something went on, the American people absolutely deserve to know exactly what happened, who was involved, and then we can make our own mind up as to whether or not those people continue to have credibility or should continue to serve us. And in addition, the Justice Department can determine whether or not charges should be brought. If people are exonerated, they should be exonerated. If people have committed some sort of crime against the United States, then they should be held accountable. Words such as espionage or treason are words that we never have thought about in our lifetime. But now on a daily basis, you hear different fact patterns and different allegations that perhaps lead us to looking at those type of charges. It's important, if people committed those type of acts, that they be absolutely responsible. If they didn't, then they have to be exonerated, cleared, and the slate needs to be wiped clean. That's why it's important that Mueller's investigation should go on unimpeded. Mueller's investigation should have cooperation from different individuals who are asked to go by and either meet with Mueller or meet with the grand jury and testify. He's already, at this point, produced indictments against people who were involved in the Trump campaign or the Trump transition. If that's as far as it goes, then that's as far as it's going to go. But as they go through and gather more evidence and get more testimony, if other people are involved or should be brought in, interviewed and charged, then that's exactly what should happen. So why would anyone, and by the way, that goes wherever it leads. If it leads to Democrats, if it leads to people within the Democratic Party, so be it. If it only involves Trump and his people, so be it. But the chips should fall where they may. Now, the interesting thing about this is that this process right now reminds me of Watergate in 1973 and 1974. People couldn't get out of the way to try and obstruct the investigations that were taking place, either at the House, Senate, or by Archibald Cox regarding the allegations that pertain to Watergate. Republicans on a regular basis were charging that this was trumped up, that this was political in nature, that there was nothing there. And one by one, they stood with President Nixon, tried to get in the way of anything that they possibly could to continue the cover-up, to continue the obstruction of justice, and one by one they fell. There were over 40 indictments in Watergate, most of them dealing with obstruction of justice. Do the Republican public officials now, the congressmen and senators, that get up and try and do anything they can to stop Mueller, really want to be involved in a situation where there may be more charges, there may be more obstruction charges coming? Do they really want to be known as the people who stood against the investigation rather than an investigation that was designed to reinstore, hopefully, trust or reinstill trust in the American people? It seems to me that every time the president comes up with another idea or statement as to why the Mueller investigation is not legitimate, or why Rosenstein isn't legitimate, or why now Wray at the FBI isn't legitimate, or why the FBI isn't legitimate, we have to take a step back and wonder, what are the actual motives? Are the motives because he feels that at some point it's going to involve people who he's close with, or perhaps involve himself? Is he worried it's going to involve his son, Donald Jr.? Is he worried it's going to involve Jared Kushner, his brother-in-law? Is he worried that it's going to involve his immediate staff, Ms. Hicks, Hope Hicks? Is he worried that it's going to continue to burn through his staff? Or does he have legitimate concerns about we want a nonpartisan investigation? If he wants a nonpartisan investigation, Robert Mueller's the guy to conduct it. He should feel very, very good about it. If he wants a nonpartisan investigation, he should stay the heck out of the investigation. He should tell a fellow like Devin Nunes that it does not make a lot of sense for him to be involved on a day-to-day basis in the obstruction of justice on behalf of the White House. And that's exactly what's happening now. So my feeling on the Mueller investigation is pretty simple. Leave it alone, let it find what it finds, let it exonerate people who should be exonerated, let them indict and charge people who should be indicted and charges, and let's get it done. It's 10 months now. I would expect hopefully by the end of this year, in other words, by the end of this year, 2018, or by next May of 2019, they will have wrapped this up. But the idea that we're sitting here on a day-to-day basis reading that there's one more charge against the FBI, the CIA, FISA, whatever it might be, looks to me and smells to me like pure obstruction, nothing else.